Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Cinco de Mayo. Feliz Cinco de Mayo. My good things for today. Oh, it's Tuesday, May 5th. My good things for today are starting The Outsiders and Nutella and delicious Mexican food and surviving COVID-19. Some of your good things from yesterday's attendance form. Painting. The OH News. I hope you guys caught Greta and Georgia on their OH News debut. I was supposed to put a link into to send out to you guys. Oh wait, I did put a link. There it is, right there in the assignment guide. Never mind. I hope you remembered to check that out. Other good things: chocolate milk, cheese in a can, cookies, hot dogs, tea, Reese's. A clean dog, definitely better than a dirty dog. PS4, FaceTiming with cousins, being organized, highlighters, and Roblox. So, we're going to have kind of a long video today because we are starting The Outsiders, and I've got several things to kind of show you that I always show students when we start The Outsiders, and then some extra things, because of our extraordinary circumstances. So let's jump right into it. Looking at the assignment guide, today I have not assigned you a reading log entry because, we're reading The Outsiders. You'll be responding to it. So we'll skip that for today, probably this week, and probably for the next couple of weeks. So you're going to do chapters 1 and 2 today. Thursday you'll be doing chapters 3 and 4. You are required to do your anticipation survey and the reader response slides. I'll cover what those are in just a moment. And there is a pre-reading activity that I'm just going to ask you to browse. They're not assignments. They're just things that I want you to look at and think about before you start to read. So let's jump into those things. Here is my Outsiders haiku page. It is a tab over here on the side of the page that I have just published this morning, and there are all kinds of resources here for you. That anticipation survey that I want you to do today is located right here. It looks like this. Okay? Fill that out, send it back to me. I'm going to show you a presentation in just a couple minutes after I go over these resources to kind of introduce you to the book. If you want to go back and see that presentation again on your own, it's right here. Oh, the book itself is located here. And I'm thinking about this now. This is the audio for the book. And I thought that I had, oh, here it is. And here is a PDF. And I think this other one is, I don't know, a different kind of doc. But here's a PDF of the book right up here so you can read it. Let's go ahead and open that and take a look at it. There it is. Oops. This is my presentation, sorry. That's not what I meant to open right now. That's okay. Anyway, I can't open that because it's right below my little control for this video. Anyway, here is the novel right here in PDF form, and then this is audio. Maybe I should change that label. But there's an audio for each chapter as well as PDF that you can read, although I can't show that to you right now. So, those are your resources. Also, like I said, before you start to read, I would like you to look at this pre-reading activity. This survey is the same one that I'm requiring you to do, but there's a brain pop here about civil rights. Ignore the password for Mrs. Ronce. I kind of stole this thing from her. You use your regular brain pop login. Article you can read about life in the 60s. Our movie takes place in the early 60s, probably around 1965. This is Mrs. Ronce's preview slide deck. It'll be a little bit different from the one I'm going to go over with you right here. A video about how to be nice. As you get into reading the book, you'll see how that's relevant. The trailer to the movie. Don't post here on this Padlet. And then How to Make a New Friend by Kid President, which kind of gets into one of the themes of the book, right? Basically how do people get along with each other and how do they not get along. So, all right, let's get into, also, the reading responses. I'm assigning chapters 1 and 2 to you today. And you're going to respond to those chapters here in this presentation. Please either create your own doc or make a copy of this presentation, because at the end of the novel you will be turning this into me. And for each chapter you'll have a page like this, and then for selected chapters you'll have additional activities to do. So the first item here for chapter 1 is title. I'm not looking for you to tell me the title of chapter 1. I'm asking you to reflect on chapter 1 after you've read it and write your own title. What would be a better title than the one, S.E. Hinton chose for that chapter? Summary, tell me what happens in the chapter, and then there's a question. Usually there's just 1 or 2 questions for each chapter. The question for chapter 1 is, in chapter 1, Ponyboy introduces his friends and talks about his life. He differentiates his friends from the Socs. That's how you pronounce that word right there, Socs. Provide a quote that shows this and explain its meaning. So you're doing that for chapter 1. You're also going to respond by completing this little form where you're either providing the character's name or a brief description of that character, right? The first item here, the wisecracker of the gang, you need to supply who that is. What character is the wisecracker? For Johnny and Derry and Dally, describe them. You provide the name of Soda's best friend, and so on. You're also reading chapter 2 by Thursday. So you're doing the same thing. Provide a title, write a summary, and answer that one question. And then for chapter 2, I'm asking you to respond to this writing prompt about stereotyping, and then the response thing moves on to chapter 3. You'll worry about that later this week. So you're doing this, looking at the assignment guide. This is one of your do's. The reading response slides plus the anticipation survey, and I'll send links to those to you today. And also I'll send you a link for the pre-reading activity, but you're just browsing that. It's not really an assignment. It's just something to look at. All right, and the last thing I want to share with you today is kind of my anticipatory set here, kind of an introduction to the book. Here is how the book looks in its physical form. There are actually several different covers to the book, but this is one of them. It is called The Outsiders. It's by S.E. Hinton. Here is S.E. Hinton. She wrote the book when she was 15. She wrote it in response and upon reflection upon her own life. She knew people like the characters in the book. So it's very much a book written by somebody writing about herself and her friends. It's a book about young people written by a young person, which is actually kind of rare. And I think it kind of makes it ring much more true, right? Your perspective on life in the world is different when you're 15 than it is when you're 35 or 5, right? So I think that's one of the reasons why people really love this book, right? It rings very true because it is written by somebody who is the age of the characters in the book. Here is some information about her. She was born and lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She was 16. Sorry, I said 15. She was 16 when she wrote The Outsiders. The book is set in Oklahoma. It was published in 1967. She chose to put S.E. Hinton instead of Susan Eloise Hinton because she figured that boys would read a book if they knew a girl had written it, right? Might be true. Once published, The Outsiders gave her a lot of publicity and fame, also a lot of pressure because she was kind of cast as the voice of her generation, which is a little unfair for somebody that young, right? But that's kind of what happens when you're very successful sometimes. Okay, cars. Most of the characters in our book are male, And so cars play an important role for teenage boys, right? There are a couple of cars that are talked about in the book. One of them is a Chevy Corvair, and also a Ford Mustang. This is what those cars look like. The nice cars described in the book are generally driven by the Socs, who are the richer kids, right? They are the opposing group, the rival gang to our main characters, who are greasers. The beginning of the book, in chapter 1, Ponyboy, our main character, talks about how he had just seen a movie starring Paul Newman and how he wished he looked more like Paul Newman. Paul Newman was a huge movie star in the 50s and 60s and 70s. This is him. This is him with his wife, Joanne Woodward, who is also an actor. He starred in a bunch of movies. One of them is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. My favorite Paul Newman movie was Cool Hand Luke. Also, if you've ever seen these products in the grocery store, when Paul Newman was at like the height of his fame in probably the 80s, maybe early 90s, he came out with this line of products called Newman's Own, which were based on recipes from his family. And the great thing about this products is all the profits go to support charities that he and his family believed in. I believe the first charity that he created the products to support was a camp for kids who had cancer. And to this day, all these products, other than paying for the ingredients and stuff to make them, all these products go to support charities. So if you see these products in the supermarket, they're good ones to buy. Plus, they usually taste pretty good. I've used the salad dressings and the popcorn and stuff, and they're good. All right, here is the movie cast. Our main character, Ponyboy, is this person right here. He's played by an actor named C. Thomas Howell. His best friend, Johnny, is right here. And he was played by an actor named Ralph Macchio. If you saw the original Karate Kid movies, that's the guy. Ponyboy's two brothers are also huge characters in the book and in the movie and stuff. Their names are Soda Pop and Derry. Actually, his name is Daryl, but he goes by Derry mostly in the book. Not to be confused with Dally, whose real name is Dallas and who's right here. These actors are Emilio Estevez, who's a big actor in the 80s. His brother is Charlie Sheen, who's famous, much more famous now. But back then in the 80s, actually, Emilio Estevez was bigger than his brother. They're sons of Martin Sheen, who's also a very famous actor, who's in Apocalypse Now and The West Wing and other big movies and TV shows. So Emilio Estevez right here, Ponyboy's middle brother. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. This is 2-Bit, sorry. This is Derry, Ponyboy's oldest brother, and this is Soda Pop. Okay, so Soda Pop is played by Rob Lowe, who's also a very famous actor now. He was on Parks and Rec, he's in commercials. He was also in The West Wing. This is Tom Cruise, who is Soda Pop's best friend, Steve Randall. Kind of is jealous and not always nice to Ponyboy. This is the oldest brother, Daryl, or Derry as he's often called. He has kind of taken on the role of being the parent in the household with Ponyboy and Soda Pop because their parents are dead. Before the novel begins, Soda Pop and Ponyboy and Derry's parents die in an auto accident, so they're kind of orphans. Derry had been kind of a football hero at his school, a very popular guy, got a college scholarship to play football, but couldn't do that, couldn't go away to school because he had to take care of his younger brothers, when his parents passed away. And then finally, Emilio Estevez plays 2-Bit, who's kind of like a wisecracker and comedian of the group. And Dally plays kind of the greaser's greaser. He is like a criminal. He steals things. He carries a knife. He is looked up to by the whole gang. he has kind of a mythos or